You're listening to Salford City Radio 94.4 FM.
You are indeed. You're listening to Salford City Radio 94.4 FM with your host Jimmy Petruzzi on the Friday Sports Show, bringing you all the news from around the world and the local area, of course. You're listening to Salford City Radio 94.4 FM, the Friday Sports Show with your host Jimmy Petruzzi, bringing news from the local area and around the world. We're fortunate this show to have interviewed some of the world's best athletes, sports people who work in sport across a wide range of disciplines, trainers, coaches, journalists, you name it. And we've interviewed so many different people. We also have a segment where we speak to people in the field of psychology, given their intake into, or the insights into mental health. Today we have a special guest. He's our go-to fitness expert. We've interviewed him on a number of occasions. He's kind enough to sort of share his thoughts, and he's going to give us some insight into what we can do with it sort of moving in the spring. The nights are getting lighter now, the morning's lighter, it's crisp, the skies have been sort of clear. It's a nice time to get out there and sort of, start setting some goals, fitness goals. But our guest also does mind coaching too. And he's going to tell us all about what he's been up to and sort of what he's been doing, and give us a bit of insight what we can do in terms of, moving into the summertime to get ourselves in the best shape possible. So Paul Oldham, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board.
Cheers, Jimmy. Cheers for having me, mate.
It's always good to speak to you, Paul, and you're always sort of up to something positive and, doing a lot of positive stuff. And I suppose in terms of, Christmas is sort of well and truly over now, and we're moving into spring. It's, the nights are getting lighter, and a lot of people will be thinking about getting in the best shape ever for the summertime. What's it like at the moment in the gym, Paul, in terms of working with people? Is that the sort of consensus to sort of get in sort of, good shape for summer?
Yeah. I mean, obviously what we do at Body Influence, we've got our goal setting coach, Ruth, who's come on board with us. Wow. She spends like 45 minutes to an hour with each member. And then we go through, obviously, what's right for them. But, yeah, you find about 50% of the goals is building up to our summer holidays and so on. We've got a few with things like events, weddings. Got some who want to have events like 10k runs, marathons, things like that. So, obviously, everyone's got their own individual goal that suits them. Brilliant.
And I suppose you could say that this is where you do the groundwork, where you get out there and this is a good time to start. And I mean, did you find, Paul, just out of interest, do you find that people do set sort of, goals and resolutions? You mentioned that you got Ruth on board. I mean, that's really good, because I think that it gives them accountability. So you're not on your own. You've got someone to sort of, as a sounding board. Do you think it's important to have that accountability to sort of see it through, rather than just sort of set a resolution and sort of give up halfway?
Oh, massively, yeah, massively. The analogy we use is like holding the hand throughout the process. So like guiding them, supporting them, educating them, keeping them motivated, obviously inspiring them as well. And the good thing about Ruth that's doing it, Ruth done a lot of it as well, done the triathlons, done the marathons. Wow. Had a wedding. She's quite further on with her journey and quite experienced, so she understands it, can really relate to it, and then help guide them. But it's that constant support where they can meet Ruth once a month and see if they're still on track, obviously, for that goal as well.
That's amazing. I mean, one thing for sure, Paul, you always sort of, pull a rabbit out of a hat, a master stroke, and it seems like a master stroke, getting someone like Ruth on board who walks or talk basically. And I suppose, is that inspiring for members to sort of see someone who's sort of doing it as well?
Yeah, massively. And because Ruth's been a member with us for like 9 years as well, they can really relate to her, because she still trains at the sessions. Like I said, she's done. I think she's done like 30 triathlons now in total, maybe more. So she's inspiring the members into opening up new goals. So if they've not got a goal, Ruth can help present them with a goal maybe suitable for them, regarding like their age, things like that as well. Because obviously it's finding the right goal. You need something that's realistic.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
To reach.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good shout. I mean, because I suppose our listeners, some of them were thinking, well, I don't really want to do a triathlon or a marathon or half marathon, but even like, for example, for some people to do like even if it's sort of, I don't know, maybe 2 miles or just work at their own pace. And is that something that you guys do in terms of sort of moderate the training, where, okay, someone might say, well, I don't necessarily want to do or compete or do anything like that, but I just want to get in sort of reasonably good shape, lose some body fat percentage, get in trim. Is that sort of, do you sort of cater for that as well?
Yeah, massively. So we always talk about not always going just for aesthetics or how they look, going for the feeling. So we want them to feel better, feel fitter, feel stronger. So we try and get them to focus on that and to get an emotional attachment with that goal. But for example, if they want to build a little bit of strength, we have a strength program for them. If they want to lose a little bit of body fat, we say come to body camp, which is like our boot camp style. Come there 3 times a week. If they want to, for example, like you said, be able to run 1K, we might tell them to come to 2 body camps a week and try and run on their own. So it's just short, medium, long-term goals, and like you said, meeting them where they're actually at.
Absolutely.
Looking at the training history as well.
Yes, a great shout, because obviously everyone's got their own sort of requirements, and you mentioned there are different types of training. I mean, for me, like one thing that sort of, I suppose I sort of can speak subjectively. One of my sort of goals the last couple of years has been sort of keeping on top of body fat percentage. I know it's not for everybody and each to their own, but I sort of get a sense that when I go for a walk, or when I do anything really in terms of activity, that's kind of like a barometer. I suppose I liken it, Paul, to sort of carrying, say, a rucksack with sort of weight on. If I can take that off, I feel better for it. I mean, do you do specific training for people who've got different sort of, you mentioned they're different goals, but what's your take on body fat, Paul? I'm just interested to sort of know what your sort of thoughts are in terms of that.
We have Ryan Marsh, who's been with us like 4 years now, and what Ryan does, he does the body fat percentage for them with the skin fold calipers.
Okay, wow.
Because obviously you can test it different ways. And obviously the most accurate way is underwater weighing, isn't it, and doing it properly. But
of course,
you need the facilities for that, don't you? We use skin fold calipers, and we do a 4-site measurements. So we do like iliac, scapula, bicep, tricep.
Yes.
And then we use standard personal training files.
Brilliant.
We've edited our own graph, so it's banged on now. And then what we do as well, we give a bit of analysis. So say they've done it 4 times, they can have a bit of a graph. The roof's done for us, and they can obviously look at it. Because obviously over Christmas, you see that sometimes it can go up.
Absolutely, 100%.
So what a lot of members have done, they might have dropped and then gone up a bit over Christmas, but then they've dropped again in January now. So then they look at it from, say they did the first one in, say, November. They can look at it from November to the end of January. They've actually lost in total. So that's what keeps them motivated, because the gain of that is they've actually lost body fat, rather than looking at the ideal situation where they want to lose, say, 5% straight away. But I think it's key. I think always go off body fat rather than weight.
Yes. And that's great.
Muscle density and things like that.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to do measurements, body fat, help track your progress,
Absolutely. I mean, I have like a scale that says it does it. I'm sure it's not as reliable as sort of calipers, but it gives a bit of an indication really in terms of that. And I don't know if it's a psychological thing, but certainly I notice that when I'm sort of, working at a sort of normative range, I do feel, better. I suppose you could sort of also argue that, it depends on what you do and what in terms of, I suppose, for an athlete, you're going to have a different range. But that's the great thing, I think, about having a trainer. You can sort of, sit down and say, okay, well, this is sort of a healthy range to be for that, and sort of monitor that. Because I suppose in saying that, Paul, the other side, it can be true too. Sometimes it can be for some people an obsession as well. Do you think as well, in terms of, the sort of, these days you've got all these sort of gadgets and to be honest, Paul, what I did myself, I had like one of them fit monitors, and I sort of put it to one side for a while because it's becoming too much of an obsession. But it's great. I think what you say in terms of measuring things periodically is a great thing. It's just, in terms of sort of doing it rather than like obsessively every day. Do you think there's a case for that, Paul, sort of getting that balance?
Yeah, you said the right word is balance, and that's what we always say. We say to people, we want to get you sustainable results. So you get in these habits, you keep them up in, say, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months' time, rather than that fast fix. And what I do see is that people come through and they're very excited, and what they'll try and do is track the steps, track their eating, weigh the food, everything like that. But I want them to be more enthusiastic rather than excited. I want them to look forward to getting them goals. But what I find is, if they hit it too hard with excitement, they end up blowing themselves out, and they can't keep that up. So what I say is, I like them tracking it, but I don't like the pressure and the intention of it. I like them having an idea, but not too much pressure on it as well.
Absolutely. So you sort of take these sort of measurements in terms of, you can sort of take weight and sort of body fat and percentage and amongst other things, and then sort of guide them And I think that's really interesting that you said about Christmas time. I mean, what do you think, Paul, in terms of Christmas time? Is it sort of, do you think, eating, or is it a combination of maybe not doing as much activity, or a bit of all things, why people do generally sort of go up a bit around Christmas time?
I think it's a mindset thing. I think everyone, even on the news and social media, and you're getting influenced by that, and everyone's saying it's that time to have fun, and people drilling that in people's subconscious, aren't they? And they're getting conditioned by it. Whereas me personally, I chose not to. In this December, I had a couple of beers. I focused on my fitness just because that was obviously up to me, and I had a few beers, but that was it. And then I'm doing dry Jan. But I think everyone follows society, and they get influenced by it. I think you should just do what's right for you. Don't get me wrong, I think it's nice to relax, but I think people overindulge, to be honest with you, and I think they get a bit lazy, and I think they find it then too hard to get back into it. Whereas I think you could say you do 80-20, so you do 80% healthy, 20% treat yourself. Instead of dropping it the other way where it's 20-80, why not just drop it to 60-40 or 70-30?
That's a good shout.
Because then you get back into it in January then.
Yeah, that's a really good shout. Interesting you say. I think sort of that's really interesting for our listeners too, in terms of sort of getting that sort of balance really. So you're not having to sort of to sort of change course considerably as well. But I think you mentioned there about the mind, and I know you do mind events, we'll sort of talk about that shortly, but the mind is a big thing, and you made a really interesting point there, Paul. I mean, recently I sort of heard on the radio that I don't know what day it was, but they said it was like a Blue Monday, and I thought in my mind, this is absolutely ridiculous. I woke up that morning feeling fantastic. I went for a walk around the lake. Exactly. It was a beautiful blue sky, and I thought, where do they come up with this sort of nonsense, to be fair? And I suppose in saying that, some of these things I think are I suppose you could argue they're a marketing ploy, to tell people how they should be feeling. And it is a mind thing, do you not think, as well, in the way we sort of, I know obviously there are other problems that people have, but you mentioned the mind there. I mean, how big does mindset play, Paul, in how we perceive the world and ourselves and how we go about our business to sort of live our best life, really?
Oh, massively, yeah. And it's mindset for me is everything, because once you put things in your mind, then it controls your body. Obviously, your body being subconscious to a certain extent, but it's huge. And what I do, obviously, with my clients at Mind Influence, I do it in phases. So over 12 months now, we plan 2022. I get them to look at it. So the mindset might be to be fit and train loads and be healthy Jan to Feb, and then they might have the mindset of going away in March, and then they might have a lot of intensity on with the businesses and work, for example. So they set the mind up ready for that. You look at Olympic athletes, they set the mind to be a high standard and improve these little 1%. But like you said, they're getting influenced by, a lot of people get influenced by the radio, social media, and the news. And that's what's happening. Society is dictating what they do. But what I think you've got to do, you've got to set your mind and be deliberate with your goals, what you want to achieve, and don't compare yourself with anyone else.
Consciously. Hopefully on this show we promote a positive message in terms of, but you're right, there's sort of algorithms as well on social media, and we sort of see things, and then that confirmation bias, and it's like, I was sort of, driving the other day, and the radio, they were saying, January blues, and I thought, what a load of nonsense. This is one of my favourite mums. Funnily enough, no, because you kind of, the thing is, Paul, it's like a spring clean, isn't it? You kind of sit down, you reflect, and and I think there's nothing better, and I know you guys do the walks as well. For me, there's nothing better than going out there and sort of being in nature, in the crisp, fresh air, and it kind of, you feel it kind of expresses genes in the body where you kind of adapt, and I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Wim Hof. I'm not suggesting people do it, but in terms of getting out there in the fresh nature, it's sort of, I know you guys do the country walks, but do you sort of get that? Do you think sort of, sometimes it's like the chicken or the egg, sort of getting out there, getting out in the fresh air, feeling that sort of crisp air, and it kind of wakes our body and mind up as well.
Oh, massively. And my routine is I'll do a walk every morning. Sometimes the same routine, sometimes I mix it up. But it's like you said, it's that fresh air, and I try and do as many reservoirs as I can. But I also a big one is monitoring my phone. I've dropped my screen time. I'm reading a book at the moment called Skill and Focus, and it's about you being in charge. So you're not letting people get into your mind when you don't want them to. So in the morning now, I don't go on my phone in the morning. So I won't go on it till about 11 o'clock, 11, 11, and then in the evening, I don't go on it from 7 p.m. So I'm very strict with that.
Yeah.
And my screen time obviously has now dropped by 44%.
Wow.
So then you can obviously track that and go on it, and I feel miles better. My energy is better, my clarity is way better.
Absolutely.
And I just think it's massive. And then what I do with that time is I go for a walk, or I go on my laptop and I search for something that I want to learn about. So I'm setting intentions and setting barriers at the same time. Yeah. And then I only let the world in then and speak to people when I'm ready.
Absolutely.
So that it gives my mind control then that way.
Yeah, and absolutely. That's a great point, Paul, because there's certainly plenty of studies to suggest a correlation between stress and sort of, our health as well. And for sure, I think, definitely, the world we live in, I guess, is quite stressful as it is anyway, with all the things going on, and it's not been an easy 2 years anywhere around the world, really. But the point you're making there, obviously, I think to sort of to eliminate as many stresses as we can control. We can't obviously remove all of them, but the ones that we can, like excessive screen time and sort of doing things that, for me, that's really interesting you said that, Paul. I try and do something every day, Paul, that I enjoy. I take time, something I want to learn. So sort of try an activity schedule. I mean, do you guys sort of do that as well? Sort of do some activity scheduling in terms of making time for the things you enjoy. Another technique I use too, Paul, is sort of when I go for a walk is to find something new that I haven't seen before.
Brilliant.
That works really well. It's amazing how, a few months ago, I may have mentioned how there was these really fascinating carvings around the lake I'd never seen before, because consciously you're steaming along, stomping along, but you don't stop and look. But, so is that something you guys sort of do as well, Paul, activity scheduling, sort of think about things holistically, not just sort of one thing?
Yeah, massively on that, and just on that, when you mention that, there's a difference between seeing and noticing, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if you're actually being mindful, you go on your walk, and every day you'll notice something different if you're being in the present moment. Whereas a lot of people, they're on the phone or they're talking to someone, and I think that's where solitude comes in to help release the stresses and take yourself out of your mind. Absolutely,
having time for yourself. Absolutely, because there's so much competing for attention anyway. It's like on a daily basis. It's like from the minute you get up, there's like so many different things that are sort of competing for our brain's attention. I think it's key to do that. In terms of the event, I know you're doing another event, Paul. The last one was Success. You're going again. If you can tell our listeners who are listening in about the event. I mean, you sort of incorporate some of the things that we've touched on this evening, and no doubt a lot more. But you can tell us about the date and time and what you're going to cover this time.
Yeah, so this is the second one we're doing at the Red Hall Hotel in Bury.
Brilliant.
So it's just off the M66, just outside Ramsbottom. Great venue. Like I said, we did our Body and Foot's Christmas party there. It's superb, and Helen Proctor, the manager there, she's looked after us. So we're going to be using that venue for a long time now.
Brilliant.
So we secured that, which is brilliant. And we're in the Peel Suite, which is a big room. So we can actually fit 35 in this time.
Wow.
And we've sold, obviously this is pre-recorded, but we've sold 26 tickets already.
Yes. Yes.
So we've got 9 places left. And it's 12th of March, 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. What we're going to go through is like what I've just said there. It's about attention and focus, which is a big one.
Brilliant.
So it's about, we've called it less phone, more life. So putting down the phone, putting down the laptop, and like you said, going in nature, doing more things like meditation, yoga, things like that, and actually living and being in the present moment more, and actually paying attention to loved ones, to your friends, and having more quality rather than quantity.
Yeah.
We're also going to go through how to stay motivated, which is the gap and gain principle. So it's focusing on that gain. So anything you've done, you focus on the positive rather than focusing on what's perfect and the illusion of perfection, which obviously is not real. So we're going to talk about how to stay motivated, and then the third thing we're going to go through is identity. Identity. So actually understanding who you are and what you want to be known for, because obviously people have a lot of false identity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and how you define who you are impacts how you behave and many other things. And what I find interesting there, Paul, as well, it's like I suppose there's a sort of saying, sort of find your tribe type thing, and it's not always easy to find people who are like-minded, who sort of in some respects. And is that a big part of the success of you guys? In terms of sort of finding that sort of sort of tribes, metaphorically speaking, where you've got a group of people who sort of are all there and stick together.
Yeah, absolutely, massively. Body influence. It's more like a family environment, and like I said before, we do events, so we do 12 events per year. So,
okay, wow.
For example, on Sunday we've got a nutrition seminar, so it's all free for the members, so anyone can come at Causley next door. So they come in, and like you said, they're away from the actual gym, so they can talk about different things. We've then got Snowdon coming up this year. We've got paintballing, and it's all like-minded people. There's no egos there or anything like that. It's down to people who've got a lot of common ground, so they really enjoy it. Yeah,
no, that's a great thing, and I'm sure that obviously people. The great thing about that, I think, for me, is like, you know, people come from different sort of walks of life, different sort of jobs, different sort of background, and you got this sort of common cause, really. You know, you all just want to the best for yourselves, you know, physically and mentally. But sometimes, you know, on the other side of things, Paul, I suppose doing it on your own can be a lonely place as well. Like, you know, having a group of people to sort of support each other. And is that a big thing, do you think, you know, for our listeners, in terms of sort of trying to sort of model our way on our own? But if you've got, like, you know, a group of people, sort of, you know, you find your tribe analogy, does that make a massive difference, do you think, Paul, to have that group of people to bounce ideas, to be there for each other, to sort of even just sort of, you know, get things off the chest, really?
Oh yeah, massively, because obviously we're social beings, aren't we? So it's that balance of filling your own cup, bringing your own energy up so you're not drained. Obviously, depending if you're extrovert or introvert, but also then dipping yourself into the social type. Even if you join a walking club or a tennis club or whatever, be around people, share ideas, learn off people, teach people. So then you've got the balance. And when you look at your week, you see how much you are on your own and see how much you're around people. See if you get a nice balance that works for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. You made a really good point there about the extra introvert thing, and I find for me, you know, I suppose I've always said I'm an introvert living in an extrovert world, where I recharge the batteries like being on. I get the battery recharged being on my own, and I suppose people are listening sometimes. It's not social avoidance. Obviously, some people do have social avoidance, you know, for various reasons. But the sense that just to be on your own to recharge the batteries, you know, for some people is a good thing. You can sort of, you know. And I suppose the events you've got, people can sort of dip in when they want, Paul. They can sort of come along when it works for them, in terms of, you know, they might decide, well, actually, I prefer to just have a weekend to myself. But, you know, if something comes up that they really want to attend, then the door's open for them.
Yeah, that's exactly it, because we've had a lot of new members in January, so they don't always have to come to the event straight away. So we've got, like, nutrition seminar, then we've got some rum tasting in Feb, and then we've got paintballing. So they might not, for example, want to drink alcohol and stuff, but they might want to come to the paintballing one. So what we try and do is give a good variety. And then they can, like you said, they can dip in if they want to. They can just come to one year if they want, whatever suits them. We have a big board in the gym, and it just has all the events on, so they can choose what they want to come to. Yeah,
no, definitely. What I like about my experience of sort of going to your gym, Paul, in a Body Influence, is that, you know, I like the atmosphere you've created there. There's no sort of egos in terms of, you know, you go in there, it's sort of friendly, down to earth, and I think sometimes, you know, what can happen, you know, in an environment like that, you know, obviously, you know, it can be competitive. I know you train athletes as well, but even outside athletes, we can sort of, you know, it's I think it's great to sort of, you know, challenge each other and spur each other on, but it's also good to support each other too, and sort of, you know, we're all sort of coming from the same place. And how do you sort of keep that, Paul? How do you sort of, for our listeners or anyone sort of who has their own training centre, or anyone who's sort of looking to maybe do training, how do you sort of consciously sort of keep things in check, people coming along and, you know, being there for each other, and there's no sort of, you know, big egos and that sort of stuff?
I think the first thing is obviously it's your product, isn't it, and the environment that you set up. So we don't have mirrors in there. Obviously we have skylight, so it's natural light coming through.
Okay. Yeah.
It's obviously amazing summer, big bright open space.
Yes.
So obviously the feel of it, we attract a certain member base, and then what we do, we tell them to get the friends involved. So it's obviously guest passes. They can bring a friend for free and things like that. So then it attracts more of the like-minded people. So once you've got that base, and you know what marketing strategy you're using, once you've got, say, your first 20 members, then you just want to grow with more of what you've got. And obviously you give attention to everyone. But what I find is, if somebody comes in that maybe a bit more egoistic or identify with ego a little bit more, then what we find is they're not really going to fit in anywhere, so they might not feel fully connected to the environment anyway. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting point you make there. I think in terms of, I suppose any organisation is not going to be for everyone, but you're going to find the people who sort of best fit that, in any product. So you got the brand, you got the product, and basically, it's sort of setting your stall out really in terms of, where you want to. And I think that's the key for anything, for any sort of business really, sort of in terms of, I think certainly in my experience, sometimes what happens is, certainly in sort of, gym environments, they sort of start, but they don't sort of, it kind of changes, if that sort of makes any sense, Paul. You kind of go there, but then in time they kind of cater for everybody and change. And I think obviously expanding, but I think what you guys have done really well is to sort of keep that core, that communal feel. And do you guys sort of, just out of interest, do you sort of get together and sort of review where you are and sort of where you are?
Yeah. Massively, yeah. So we have a team meeting every month. Obviously, it's me overviewing everything as the owner, and then I have 5 coaches.
Wow.
So what we do is, with me and the 5 coaches, every month we have a team meeting, and I have one-to-one meetings with each individual coach. Just obviously, we have our mission statement. We have a vision of where we want to get to.
Yeah.
We look at how we can improve all the time. How we can help the members, support the members more. And obviously we can grow as well, but obviously, like you said, we don't want 20 new members straight away. We want two new ones a month, for example, 3 new ones a month who can fit in. A bit like you would with a football team, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah.
They fit into the squad. They've got to have the right personality.
Absolutely.
And obviously, we do a 30-day trial as well, don't we? To check it's the right fit for us and them.
That's a great point. So obviously they get what they want out of it, and sometimes it is what it is, isn't it? I suppose this one of them really. It's just they might not be a fit for that environment, which is fair enough. But like you says, it's one of them, and I suppose over the years, Paul, I've seen sort of people come and go, and they almost like want to just expand and sort of set up chains all over the place. But basically, then it sort of starts to change. Then what I like about your organisation, you go there, that sort of personal feel, the personal trainers, they're all sort of down to earth in that respect, approachable, which is a big thing, I think, in sort of training, sort of, I'm sure the listeners have had their own experiences, and I think that's sort of a key thing. And I mean, I'm guessing that in terms of the staff, the trainers, they sort of share your ethos, Paul. They are training, they buy into the mind influence thing as well too, which is sort of key.
Yeah, that's massive, and we always go through like the values, the ethos.
Brilliant.
What we expect as you as a trainer is professionalism. We expect you to keep in shape yourself, practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, because there is a strong link with mind influence. Talk about mindset with your clients as well, not just the physical side of things. Talk about how they're feeling. Obviously, discuss mental health with them as well. In a certain, not all of it, but a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And see them like a human being. So they've got to basically fit in with that ethos, and they've got to be a team player, which then helps. Because ultimately, it's about our members getting results and enjoying the experience.
Absolutely.
The big thing what we give at Body Influence is a sense of belonging. So we always have to reiterate that and think, how can we improve that more? And every coach has got to understand that what we do is give people a sense of belonging.
Absolutely, and that's the key, and that's an important thing you've mentioned there in terms of that belongingness and sort of having that support network and sort of keeping on track and sort of living our best life really, which is sort of key. And if anyone sort of listening wants to get in touch, Paul, with not just for the event but also just in general, they might be thinking, what I could do with some training, and I could do with some sort of or one of those events might sort of, the event certainly may be of interest to them, but just generally, even if they want to sort of get involved in training, how can they get in touch, Paul?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. So Paul Oldham, OLDHAM for my last name. So you can contact me on there. Or our website for the gym is body-influence.com.
Yeah.
And then if you want more information about the Mind Influence event, which is the mindset, is mindinfluence.co.uk.
Brilliant.
So you can contact obviously Body Influence, Mind Influence, or Paul Oldham, any 3 of them really.
brilliant. That was fantastic. No, that's great stuff. So it's been great speaking to you, Paul. It's gone, really quick as always, and it's, been really fascinating. Now that the listeners are sort of, taken, a lot away from the conversation and sort of your insights into how you're developing what you do, but equally people sort of, thinking about sort of, your perception of motivation and sort of mindset, how influences like ourselves on an ongoing basis. I think it's, really, really great. And also I think it's great to speak to Paul, listeners to sort of, to speak and sort of dispel some of these sort of myths that we hear sometimes, I mean, you could argue that the mainstream media in terms of how we should feel in January, how we should feel on this day, and just get out there and do it. And you're alive, man. Enjoy it. It's one of them, isn't it? Just for me, it's like just be in control of your own mind, which is sort of a great thing, which is key. But it's been great speaking to you, Paul. Paul Oldham is a go-to fitness expert, the founder of Body Influence and Mind Influence, and do get in touch if you're in the area and you're looking to get in good shape physically, or you're looking to sort of maybe get to the event and maybe spark something off in your mind and sort of get training. Maybe January has been a bit of a washout for you, so you could be stuck in that sort of haven't got going yet. What a great time to get going in the springtime. March, we go again, or just keep the momentum. Sometimes we go through phases, we have a bit of a wobble, and we just need a bit of a pick-me-up. But that was Paul Oldham from Body Influence, who's been kind enough to join us on Salford City Radio 94.4 FM with your host, Jimmy Petruzzi.